Most people never see the most important part of a wild rabbit's life, because it begins after they stop looking, when the final light disappears behind the trees, when children go inside, when the last lawnmower stops, when the first porch lights begin to glow. That is when the rabbit's day truly begins. The small animal you sometimes notice sitting perfectly still at the edge of the grass has often spent hours waiting for this moment, waiting for the shadows to grow longer, waiting for the air to cool, waiting for the world to become slightly less dangerous. And that is where the story begins to change, because the rabbit you see during the day is only a small part of the animal it truly is. Its hidden life begins near sunset, not because rabbits love darkness, but because surviving until tomorrow often depends on choosing the safest moment to move. A wild rabbit lives in a world where almost everything seems larger, almost everything seems stronger, and many things are fast enough to catch it. Foxes, coyotes, owls, hawks, snakes, raccoons, neighborhood cats, loose dogs, even people. To us, a backyard may feel peaceful. To a rabbit, that same yard is filled with invisible risks. Every open patch of grass offers food, but it also removes the cover that could save its life. Every shadow might hide a predator. Every sudden sound demands attention. Every movement at the edge of its vision could mean that it is time to run. That is why rabbits spend so much time doing something many people misunderstand. They stop. They freeze. They appear to be doing nothing, but nothing could be further from the truth. While you think the rabbit is resting, it is collecting information. Its ears turn toward distant sounds. Its nose tests the air. Its eyes follow movement across the yard. It notices birds becoming silent. It feels the wind change. It studies the path back to cover. Because in the world of a rabbit, the first animal to notice danger is often the animal that survives. And that leads to an important question. If the outside world is so dangerous, why does a rabbit leave its shelter at all? The answer begins when daylight fades. As the evening grows quieter, the yard changes in ways most people never notice. Birds settle into the trees. Cars become less frequent. The air becomes cooler. Long shadows spread across the lawn. To us, it feels like an ordinary evening. To a rabbit, it feels like opportunity, not complete safety. There is no complete safety in the wild, only better chances. And sometimes better chances are enough. The rabbit slowly steps out from beneath a dense shrub. It does not rush. Its ears move before its feet. Its nose never stops working. Every breath carries information. Fresh grass, damp soil, the scent of a fox that passed hours earlier, the faint smell of a dog from a neighboring yard. The rabbit reads these invisible messages the way people read words on a page. Its world is built from scent, sound, movement, and memory. Memory may be one of the most important tools a rabbit has. It remembers where danger appeared yesterday. It remembers which path led safely back to cover. It remembers where tender plants continue growing after nearby grass has dried. It remembers the fence where an owl once landed. It remembers the tree where a hawk waited. Every evening becomes another lesson. Every close escape becomes another mark on a map that only the rabbit can see. And that creates another question. What is the rabbit searching for each night? The answer begins with something so ordinary that most people walk across it every day without thinking. Grass. But not every blade of grass is the same. Not every lawn offers the same value. To a person, a backyard may appear evenly green. To a rabbit, every few feet can be completely different. One patch may contain soft clover. Another may already be dry. One corner may hold new growth after rain. Another may have been cut only hours earlier. The rabbit notices these differences because its life depends on them. But food is only half of the story. No rabbit survives for long by thinking only about the next mouthful. Every meal must be balanced against danger. A patch of clover in the middle of an open lawn may offer excellent food, but reaching it could require crossing a wide space with nowhere to hide. For a rabbit, that can be a dangerous bargain. The largest meal is not always the safest one. Sometimes the rabbit chooses a smaller patch because a shrub is only a few steps away. Sometimes it leaves fresh grass untouched because the moon is too bright. Sometimes it stops eating because the wind suddenly changes. Sometimes it runs before a predator is even visible. These choices may seem small, but together they determine whether the rabbit sees another sunrise. And that reveals something important. A rabbit does not survive because it is fearless. It survives because it knows when not to move. That leads to another question. Why does a rabbit sometimes remain completely still for so long? The answer has very little to do with resting. Stillness is one of the rabbit's greatest defenses. When a rabbit freezes, it is gathering information. Its ears can turn toward different directions. One may follow the sound of leaves moving. The other may listen for wings. Its large eyes sit on the sides of its head. This gives it a wide view of the world around it. It cannot study every detail, but it does not need to. Movement is what matters. A shadow crossing the grass, a branch moving against the wind, the sudden silence of birds that were singing moments earlier. Nature often sends warnings before danger arrives. The rabbit survives by noticing them. Preparation is one of the hidden skills of survival. The rabbit rarely waits until the final second to choose an escape. It is always measuring distance. Where is the nearest shrub? Which direction is clear? Where was the hawk last seen? Is the wind carrying scent toward a fox? By the time the rabbit begins to run, the decision may already have been made. The chase only reveals the route it selected earlier. People notice the sudden escape. Very few notice the quiet thinking that made it possible. And that brings us to another question. If every evening is filled with danger, how does a rabbit ever raise a family? The answer begins in a place most people walk past without noticing. A shallow hollow in the ground. Wild cottontail rabbits do not usually build large nests. A mother often chooses a small depression hidden beneath grass, beside a fallen branch, under a low shrub, among wild plants. To human eyes, it may look like an ordinary patch of soil. To the mother rabbit, it is the safest place she could find. She lines the hollow with dry grass. Then she adds fur from her own body. This soft covering protects the newborn rabbits from cold air. The babies are born with closed eyes. They cannot run. They cannot defend themselves. They depend completely on a nest that most people would never see. Then something happens that is often misunderstood. The mother leaves. She may stay away for many hours. To someone who does not understand rabbit behavior, it can look like abandonment. But the opposite is true. She stays away to protect them. So the mother returns only briefly, often near dawn, and again near evening. She feeds the babies, checks the nest, covers them, then leaves once more. It is one of the quietest forms of protection in nature. She protects her young not by staying beside them every moment. She protects them by knowing when to remain far away. Within a short time, the young rabbits begin leaving the nest, not because they are fully grown, but because remaining in one place for too long creates danger. Soon, each young rabbit begins building its own map, its own list of safe places, its own understanding of danger, its own memory of food, its own path through the evening landscape. Perhaps this is one reason rabbits have survived for so long, not because they are the strongest animals, not because they can defeat their predators, but because they learn, they watch, they remember, they change their behavior. Every night adds new information. Every season changes the map. Every generation begins again. That small animal sitting quietly near your garden is not living a simple life. It is balancing hunger against danger, movement against stillness, memory against uncertainty, safety against opportunity. Every evening is filled with decisions, and nearly every decision has one purpose: to survive until morning. Perhaps that is why seeing a rabbit at sunset can feel so peaceful to us. We see a soft animal feeding quietly in the grass. We see long ears, a small nose, a white tail, but behind that gentle appearance is a life shaped by constant awareness. The rabbit is not careless. It is not lost. It is not simply enjoying the evening. It is following a plan built from experience. It knows which bushes provide cover, which paths remain quiet, which yards contain food, which sounds can be ignored, which sounds mean run. That is what makes the hidden life of a wild rabbit so remarkable. Almost everything important happens without noise, without display, without anyone watching. The next time you see a rabbit near the edge of your lawn at sunset, pause for one more moment. Do not think only about how calm it looks. Think about what it may already know. The hawk that passed earlier, the cat behind the fence, the safest shrub, the quickest escape route, the patch of clover that will provide enough energy for another night. It is not waiting for a magical sign. It is not carrying a mysterious message. It is simply responding to a living landscape with remarkable care. And perhaps that is more fascinating than any story we could invent. Have you ever noticed the same rabbit appearing near your home at sunset? Did it return to the same corner, the same garden bed, the same patch of grass? Did you ever discover a hidden nest nearby, or begin to understand why that place felt safer than the rest? Share your experience in the comments. Stories like these help other people see familiar animals in a completely different way, because sometimes the smallest visitor can reveal an entire hidden world. The rabbit you thought was simply sitting in the grass may have been listening, remembering, planning, and quietly doing everything it could to survive one more night. So when the sun begins to disappear and the yard grows, still look carefully. The day may be ending for you, but for the wild rabbit waiting beneath the shrubs, another hidden life is just beginning. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.